Shwmai a croeso cynnes, and welcome to the What's Your Story podcast. I'm James Owen, a Welsh filmmaker and storyteller, and I'm passionate about sharing stories. This podcast is all about business owners sharing their journey, and we'll be speaking with directors, entrepreneurs and creatives from all across Wales to learn from their experiences. We believe everyone has a story to tell. What's your story? Shwmai, and welcome to the first instalment of the What's Your Story podcast. I'm really excited for the first episode to introduce a guest that is from my very hometown, Llanelli. And today in the studio, we've got Mr. James Dovey, who is a master designer, developer. He's a very talented guy at lots of different things. And he's got some exciting plans, building community here in Llanelli. And I thought from a storytelling perspective, I would love to hear what he's up to and what his plans are for lots of the projects he's working on. So, James, thank you for coming here and being my very first guest. I'm very honoured.
It's not just because I'm your mate then.
No, not just because you're my mate. And absolutely love what you're doing in Blueprint and outside of that in your design work. It's fantastic. A lot of the audience might not know who you are. Mm-hmm. So just give me a brief explanation, who you are, your background in your career and business. Yeah. And that'll be a good start.
I mean, where do you want me to begin?
Well, I think Blueprint would be a fantastic focus. So tell me, if you were to share what your purpose is right now in a season of life, what is it that you do?
So I'm working on, obviously, Blueprint at the moment, trying to kind of engage the community in Llanelli to work together to try and solve one of the issues we have, which is surrounding all the empty space we have in the town centre. Obviously started Blueprint out of the frustration of seeing all this empty space, but anytime I spoke to someone about it was always quite negative. It was like, buddy, the council this, or, it's been sat empty for years, what are we doing? Where I started to think, of these empty spaces as opportunities for like new things. Obviously when I was living in London, there was a group of us who were part of taking over empty spaces in central London for like art studios. I lived in a police station for like 2 years. Not like I wasn't arrested or anything, but basically it was a guardianship model. So while the building was going through planning permission, me and like 38 other creatives lived in there. We built our own studios, games rooms, like cinema rooms, stuff like that. And I thought when I moved back here, I was like, why couldn't we do that here? So I've started coming up with new business ideas for the town. So you came to the plastics pop-up where we were recycling waste plastic in the community, getting local schools in, learning about 3D printing, design, that kind of thing. Now I'm working on the Battle Arcade.
Cool.
Which I haven't said too much about yet.
Oh, spoiler alert. Okay, so we've got a lot of cool things with Blueprint. Talk to me about your creative discipline. So give me a summary of your design journey. You went the way you left Llanelli. Yeah. I'd love to hear, you are a designer at heart, or maybe you call yourself more developer. Tell me a bit about the background in your sort of academic creative journey then.
It's quite hard to pin down. When I was studying in the Graig, doing A-levels, because I had awkward subjects, I wanted to study graphic design, but I just didn't fit in the timetable. So I ended up in a photography class for the first year and then an art class for the second year. But that's how I started, was graphic design. I just liked, how things looked. That evolved quite quickly, and I was like, I don't really want to design posters and logos all the time. So I got interested in kind of UX, UI, and then naturally I was like, I want to learn how to build applications, websites, that kind of thing. But yeah, when everyone was like ready to go to uni, I definitely wasn't ready. I'd like failed my A-levels, and someone recommended to go and do the foundation in art and design at Carmarthen School of Art, which I'm so glad I did, to be honest. That kind of opened my mind up to all the other disciplines in the creative field. I think as a creative, I think firstly I'm a designer, but all the other stuff I just enjoy. I don't want to I've never been one to stick to a particular discipline. Obviously now I'm getting into video games development, all kinds of stuff. So it's when it came to applying to uni, Carol at the time was like, you should look at going to Goldsmiths because they do a design degree, which is multidisciplinary. Most places do a graphic communication course or industrial design, whereas Goldsmiths, they had pretty much anything. It was fashion, textiles, film, photography, molding and casting, digital fabrication. It was the perfect place for me really to do all the fun stuff I like doing.
Awesome. So you're a graduate of the Carmarthen School of Art, and then you went on to study in Goldsmiths.
Yeah.
I know nothing about Goldsmiths, but it sounds like it's a pretty reputable university in that space.
Yeah, it's in New Cross. It's quite a beautiful building. I think when I went there, I knew that's where I want to be, because I had a unconditional for Ravensbourne, which was quite cool. They had the D&AD awards, but that was more, like I say, graphic communication based. Whereas I was already getting into the coding, development, interaction design side of things. I was I'll probably be better suited in that course. Plus my mate there, he was going there as well. So I was go there as well.
Good, nice. So you've told me, I think you've alluded a little bit about some of the fun you had in London. So what were some of the really cool projects you worked on in terms of proof of concept? And you actually delivered things like building co-working spaces and exhibitions. Yeah, I'd love to hear a bit more about your time in London pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID? Wow, that's going back a while.
Or was it during COVID you were finishing your degree?
No, obviously graduated in 2018, which was a couple of years before then. But I'm trying to think. The first kind of work that I got was in a company called Platoon. They're an artist management company. So I was meeting a lot of people in industry there, doing kind of just basic animation stuff. Meeting a lot of filmmakers, music directors, things like that. I think I remember meeting a few people I ended up living with then in this guardianship. That for me was such an eye-opening experience, because first of all, anyone wants to live in London, especially come from Llanelli, no money. How do you do it? And the guardianship is a fantastic way. So for £300 a month, I was living in Greenwich in a massive space, which was quite cool.
Yeah, so you had a good time studying there.
Yeah.
You've shared a lot to me about in terms of your developments of Blueprint. You've tried creating things in London and it's worked. So can you share some of those projects that maybe you did postgraduate in London, or there might be other spaces you worked in, because you had an idea that all these cool things have worked there, which you've started to develop and try to bring back to Llanelli. I'd like to give the audience a bit of context in maybe what you're trying to do in Blueprint.
Yeah, I guess for me, what makes a town is the people. So it's if you can get the right heads together in a room or whatever, you can literally do anything. That's what I realized with the police station. We had all the skills in the room there to make that place what it was. Lydia was running yoga workshops. She was a yoga instructor. Piers had his music studio in the basement. Obviously we built the games room. I was building bike racking. At the cinema room upstairs. Obviously a lot of us work from home, so we're we need a co-working space. So chucked a few desks up there, tables, things like that. We'd cook together. It was quite cool. It was it was an idea that basically of what a community could be. And I think moving back here, that's something that I've been discovering, getting to know all the local kind of people, businesses, change makers in the town that are doing really great things. Because obviously I was young before I left, and coming back, like I don't really know many people, so it's been quite inspiring to kind of find that group.
So what actually brought you back to Llanelli? Why did you come back to Llanelli?
Few reasons. I guess one of which was to do with COVID. Like I was thinking to go traveling for a bit. I recently went to Malaysia, and I was like, I'd love to live there for a few months, or New York or something like that. And obviously I think this was is when like flights were getting stopped from like the second lockdown. So I was like, I can't really go anywhere. My relationship at the time was like breaking down in London. And my mum was ill, like found out she had cancer. So I was like, I need to be home with her. So that was like one of the main things that drew me back here. Obviously that was like a interesting time, but yeah, I realized there's so much opportunity here. Like I left because there wasn't any, like narrow-mindedly James back in the day. But I'm realizing that it's a really nice place to live. It just needs a bit of work. But I guess that's what I'm here trying to do.
I love that. I hope you don't mind me sharing, or mind you sharing, your experience growing up. You've had a challenging time growing up, but that's something you're really passionate about. And I think what I've loved to hear is some of the stories of where you've utilized your skills in technology to help the care sector. I think it's fantastic, and you've produced a lot of good stories around that and good use cases. And I think that's what you love to do, is use technology in any shape or form to help solve a problem.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about the work you did with, was it the Rhondda Council? Was it Rhondda? You did the care application.
Ah, right, yeah. So yeah, I guess for those who don't know, I grew up in foster care, so I moved around a bit as a kid. It's worth mentioning, like I moved to Llanelli when I was 10. I think Karen and Nick, my foster parents, I think without them, I'd be in a very different place. I think having that stability at that age really kind of helped me grow into myself and I guess become the person I am today. I think without that, I'd be in a very different place. For me, I kind of just happened to discover technology. Like I just became obsessed with it online, and I saw what it could do for me, and I just thought how that can help other people. So, other kids, not necessarily just growing up in care, but like anyone who's lost, not knowing what they want to do with their lives. Like, if it helped me, it could help others. So I thought, why not share this knowledge and equipment or whatever with other people? That was actually the first project I did coming out of uni. So I was looking at broken systems, education and social services, two things that I'm like super passionate about. And I spent 2 weeks in Comanche County Council in their Next Step team, trying to understand how they work and basically just asking the question, how can design thinking and technology improve the way they work? And like in those 2 weeks, I found out like so much about just like a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of red tape, inefficiencies in communication, a lot of young people asking for like new ways in which they want to be consulted with, things like that. So yeah, I ended up developing a pilot application for that, which then led to like a few conversations with Rhondda Cynon-Taf, Bridgend and Merthyr. I think a lot of my design work is centered around the users. So basically what I said to them was like, I don't want to build an app and like sell it to you. If this thing's going to work, it needs to be built with the people that are actually going to use it. So yeah, I spent like 3 months speaking with their IT teams, their social workers, all of the young people. And I think just that way of working kind of encapsulates everything I do today with Blueprint. It's like, if you want to rebuild this town, come up with, new ideas, it needs to be like a voice of the people. And I think that's why I started the conversations. Did you come to the first event? I can't remember. You're definitely in the second one, I think.
I've been to a lot of events where you've been running. Quite possibly the first one.
Yeah. Basically, this...
Was it the Llanelli one? The
Future Llanelli. Yeah.
Yes.
So that, basically, I was shitting myself. I was like, I don't really know many people.
Do we swear on this podcast about Amy, beep it out, please.
I didn't really know. I had no idea how that was going to go down. I didn't know what Blueprint was at that point or what I was going to do. I just knew whatever, like, I'm committed to giving myself to this town, right, with my energy, my skills. But I thought, I can think of loads of stuff on my own, but, this town is for everyone. What do they want to see? So that's when I hosted the shared vision meeting, which was like talking about the future of Llanelli in a positive way of like, what could this place be? But yeah, back then I had no idea whether that would go down well or not. But yeah, it's kind of sent me down this rabbit hole now.
I think it seemed like a bit of a success because for you, that created awesome connections.
Yeah.
You've had meetings with lots of influential people, both within local authority and private sector. And I think, to make a success and build community, it takes people. It takes knowing the right people as well, both in public and private sector, I think.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of challenges here in Llanelli with public sector, local authority. You probably had some challenges yourself, maybe through Blueprint. Maybe what's been the biggest challenge? We're really passionate about building community. Yeah, what's been the biggest challenge to create or develop projects through Blueprint?
And it's an interesting point. Everything I read on Facebook is kind of just like, questioning the local authority. One thing I realized quite early on is not a lot of people understand how councils work. I didn't even understand to begin with. Like, what's a county council and a town council? I didn't know we had all these councils. But people just see the council and they're like, fix it. And I realized...
you've got county council, you've got the town council, you've got the rural council.
Yeah. But I realised they look after different things, and they do get tarred with the same brush. And I realised quite early on, it's like, we can't look to them to solve all these problems. Like, we live in this town, we have different skill sets to people in the council. Why can't we be supporting them to, unlock spaces, create pop-ups, new businesses, new ways of living? Like, there's nothing stopping that. It's just slow. It's like in the private sector, everything is like, we need to get this done next week. So I think the struggle for me has been the time. I think when I first started kind of putting Blueprint out there, being like, hey, listen, I want to redevelop spaces. I want to get the community together. I want to start sharing skills, things like that. It took like a year to get to a point where they were like, oh, okay, we'll give you a chance at this, which is fair enough. Like, at the end of the day, who am I? I'm just knocking on their door being like, hey, give me a space. I think it's taken a long time to build that trust, but I think the pop-up that I ran in Stepney Street was a huge success, like definitely a huge learning experience for me. That was amazing to kind of just base myself in the center of town and like get to speak to everyone that's like walking past, coming in, just curious about what on earth is going on in this space. And obviously the Precious Plastics project, I think, is such a good way to get people talking, because everyone's got something to say about, the environment and recycling and things like that. But all of the recycling stuff that happens, a lot of it just gets baled up and shipped overseas. But there's value in this plastic in like the local economy. And that's what I wanted to try and show people, is you can actually make things out of this waste. So it's quite cool. We were collecting, obviously, plastic off local businesses. We had Andrew Price giving us their shampoo bottles. I did take back some like coasters and plant pots and things we'd made out of that. But for me, obviously, you came to shoot the Ysgol Penrose when they came round to learn, how to identify a plastic, how to design it into something new. I think that was really special. It was like having school kids in the town centre understanding about the environment, but also the entrepreneurship side of things, the design side, like how you could actually make a business out of rubbish, which is quite cool.
Yeah, I loved seeing the kids' faces and seeing them like that. They were really enthusiastic about putting them in the right bins, and I think they had fun driving around the RC Formula One car.
Yeah.
It built out of different parts.
Yeah.
That was so much fun and such a joy to see that. And I think there should be more emphasis on entrepreneurship in schools. I think that shift is happening in terms of a curriculum. There's a lot of organisations out there go into schools and do that sort of work, which I'm very passionate. I'm in fact a young enterprise business advisor. So a young enterprise do a lot of work in comprehensive schools, competitions, and I love doing all that stuff because I think, if you had a world where there were no business owners, and you just had everyone working in public sector, well, the world wouldn't really run because you need lots of individuals in the private sector to make it work. I think it's a good partnership in having both private sector and public sector. And and I've loved seeing that. I think there's been a bit of a shift with, especially in Carmarthenshire. We could talk all day about the challenges we have in the local authority, but I think it's important for them to know that we need the support from the local authority to do and achieve some of the goals we have in business. And I think our way of going about doing things is, okay, well, we can't blame the council for everything. There's responsibility on us, and do you know what, I'm not going to wait for the council to help me out with this. I'm just going to go and do it myself. I think that's the best way, and we've had good success from doing some of that work, isn't it? Yeah, great. Blueprint, I think it's been a huge success in terms of the projects you've been working on. So what's next for Blueprint? You got something exciting. You spoiled it. You said about a battle arcade.
Yeah. To be honest, I feel like I'm just getting going. Even though this has been like a year in the making, it's kind of been on behind the scenes. I've been obviously running my design business on the side as well. So I'm like super excited to get stuck into like a project. Basically, I had a conversation with a mum of 3 who was like, there's nothing for my kids to do in this town. They're just like wandering around the streets. And like that really, really resonated with me because obviously, if I'm trying to think of new things to design for the town, like who am I designing these things for? And I thought that's the first place that I should start, right? And I was thinking, what do kids like enjoy, whatever? What do I enjoy? I thought of an arcade. I thought, oh, that's such a fun place for like people to go. And I started thinking from a business perspective, would something like this work in the town? And I realized quite quickly that they're a bit of a scam. Like you go in there, you burn through like £20 in like 2 minutes. And like you lose your high score. There's no real incentive to keep going back there. And I thought, what if you could redesign an arcade? Because basically I started pricing up all of these arcade machines, and that like basketball hoop thing, they're like $6,000 plus all the other stuff. But basically it's just like a sensor counting when the ball goes through with some LED lights and a speaker, like in a box. I've dumbed it down, but basically I reckon I could build one of those for like 10% of the cost. And I thought it's a fantastic learning opportunity to like share with the town. So basically what I'm planning to do is build these arcade machines from scratch, but instead of them just being like £1 a go, you pay with credits. And the idea is you'd have like a membership with an avatar that you can customize, and you're competing against other people in your town. So you like collect XP for like each of the games. So essentially that's what I'm working on at the moment, is just getting going really. I want to, I guess, expose the town to like all the new innovations around kind of game engines and virtual production, development, coding, basically all the stuff I'm interested in. I'm like, hey, if anyone wants to learn about these things, come and speak to me. But the goal is to build, an arcade that people can actually go and play in, and compete against each other.
And what's the vision for Blueprint? Because I know you're passionate about young people and kickstarting businesses, giving young people a chance.
Yeah.
So, what's your vision? What's the future for Blueprint, Llanelli?
I think for me at the moment, I'm just taking it project by project. I think, the kind of good ideas will kind of shine through. I think,
You're good at ideas, coming up with ideas, aren't you?
Yeah. I don't know if I got ADHD or whatever, but I'm obsessed with like starting new things, which is a blessing and a curse because stuff never gets finished. But, I think young people are at the core of everything I do. I think it's because, for me, like I said, I feel like I didn't have that opportunity growing up. I'm just trying to create that for other kids. It's just cool stuff that I enjoy. I was like, if that was around when I was here, I wouldn't feel the need to leave and go to London or whatever. I would feel a sense of community, a sense of progression, a sense of opportunity. Because one thing that I've been toying around with is like, how do we bring work to this town? Llanelli's got such a rich history, loads of industries left, and it's like you've got generations of knowledge there that is just untapped. And I was thinking, how do we fill that gap? And I think it's quite a difficult problem to solve. There's a lot of upskilling that may be involved, but I'm trying to think of ways to bring some of these older generations and skill sets into different ideas, different ways. And for me, the internet is just a no-brainer. Like, there's nothing stopping people working from this town and producing work internationally. I think that's something that I realized, working at Reader Gorse. I was there for a little while, building like this DigiLab thing. And basically I got the opportunity to produce the visuals for Jax Jones for Radio 1 Big Weekend. And I was up in Coventry, but like it was literally just me, Carl, and a few others producing this work that was going to be broadcast like across the thing. I was like, I'm in my bedroom in Llanelli. Like, what's stopping, other people, doing work like this?
Amazing. That's really cool. Okay, so Blueprint is in full swing. You're very busy with working on lots of different projects, from Blueprint to Catrive Creative. There's lots of really cool things. Excited to see that. I'd love to learn if you had maybe a bit of advice to give to a young person, maybe wanting to start their own business, wanting to delve into creativity. What would that one bit of advice you would give a young person?
I think just try anything. Just give it a go, because I think in school and stuff, we get bogged down by this fear of failure. I remember when I was in the Graig doing my A-levels, I was watching a video. Well, basically I'd failed, right? I'd done really, really bad. I'd gone home and Nick was like, listen, you need to drop out. You need to get a trade behind you. And I was like, that's actually quite good advice, because this obviously isn't working. What am I going to do? And at that point, I was questioning, okay, what do I want to do? And there's a lot of pressure on you to have that figured out at a young age. And I don't really think you need to have it figured out. I think just try as many things as possible and figure out what you like doing and discover a passion for it. I remember going home that day, I got my results, and I come across a video by a guy called Sully Breaks. He's got a spoken word piece called Why I Hate School But Love Education. And it basically just talks about pursuing your passion no matter what, highly recommend watching that for anyone who's like lost in their ways, because it helped me. I think something important is to find a mentor. I think when I was in London, I found someone who was kind of Henrique. He was teaching me the ropes, essentially, about kind of JavaScript development and things like this. It was really good to have someone who'd kind of like gone through that journey to like shadow, I think that was super valuable. So like if you can find someone like that, I think that's good.
I think, yeah, having a mentor is super important, really helpful. Are you passionate about what you do?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I'd say so. Just lastly then, I'm a storyteller. The whole idea for me to come up with this podcast was there's power in our testimonies, in our stories. How do you think your story is impacting the world?
It's tough because like I've never thought of that. I've never thought, what is the impact I want to make on this world? I've just been like, this is what I need to do. Like it's just been, that's what I need to do. It's always been quite clear in my mind, but I guess for me, you know, if I can leave more behind than what I've taken, I think that's like I've done a good job. And yeah, big part of what I do is just inspiring people to, you know, discover their passion. Because I think when I was growing up, well, for example, I've always worked for myself. I've tried like 1 or 2 jobs working for someone, and I just felt suffocated. I think the freedom that you have working for, I mean, you'll know this yourself, the freedom you have, you know, is incredible. And I think, I don't know what I'm on about.
The freedom is good. I can't remember the last time I had a physical job. It's probably been about 4 years, maybe, if I think. Okay, interesting then. If you were to, because you've never thought about that before, how your story is having an impact on the world. Maybe if your story was a book, what would the title of your book be? What would define James Dovey?
God, I need to write a book before I come up with a title. I'm not sure. My dissertation was on broken systems. I think if I was to write something, it would just be like a journey through trying to discover solutions to problems. Not to say that they'll be there, but
This is what you do, though.
What?
You fix systems.
Yeah. Well, if it could be improved, you know, why not improve it? I think where I add the most value is that design thinking and the technology side of stuff, because a lot of, let's say, third sector or whatever, like they don't get exposed to that. It's bad to say that. It's not the case. Usually the case, because most of the best designers and developers end up going in the private sector because they just earn way much more money there. So they kind of miss out on a lot of these innovations and developments, where I think that is where it's really needed, especially in the local authority. You know, they're dealing with, you know, tens of thousands of people, you know, which operate within systems, and they need to be able to speak to each other. They need to be able to, you know, benefit the user as well as, like, yeah, I don't really know. Basically, I'm just trying to come up with problems to whatever solutions to whatever problems that I find. Yeah,
I think you're definitely doing that. I've known you now. I mean, we first met when we were very young. I think we might have played rugby together, or we were in the same social circles.
Yeah. I probably lost playing for Binya, but yeah.
Go Furnace, the Cherries.
Yeah.
But in the sort of last 2 years, we've gotten to know you, and since we've connected, you know, we've worked on mutual projects together. You know, the same clients, and then we've developed working together on lots of other things. So there's a lot of things we got in common. But yeah, you are making an impact in this town. I remember when we got reconnected, you were like, "Oh yeah, there's all these problems, and yeah, I'm just going to go talk to the head of the council." And honestly, I don't know if I've told you this. I was just like, I remember thinking to myself, who does this guy think he is? Good luck, pal. If you're going to go talk to the top of the chain, go for it. But you do it. You're ambitious. I love that sort of drive you've got. And yeah, I'd love to see what is next and what you're going to continue working on. I'm excited with Blueprint. You got a lot of young people involved. It'd be great to see what that turns out to be, and to help you on that journey. So, but yeah, the fixer of systems. I think, yeah, that's what you do. you fix things.
Try to. I mean, for example, sometimes my projects don't explicitly say what I'm trying to solve. But for example, the precious plastics project, that was obviously tackling, issues around the environment, circular economy, teaching innovative solutions to young people, collaboration, getting businesses to work together with others. Same with the Battle Arcade. We're upskilling in sectors that aren't, being looked into as much from, schools and colleges and things. And yeah, why buy new things all the time? Why can't we make stuff out of materials that we find around us, So yeah, I think, again, coming back to your point around like chasing after, I guess, the dream, as it were, if you don't knock on the door, like it's not going to open. And I think that's one thing that I learned in London is like, at the end of the day, we're all people. Like we all have lives. Yeah, people grew up in different lives than others, but like, if you don't ask, you don't get. So
that's so true.
That's kind of what I've been doing. It's just like
yes,
running around. Later. Yeah. You figure it out. I think. I could sit here and pretend like I know what I'm talking about. Maybe that's come across like I have. But the reality is I'm making it up as I go along.
Yeah.
And that's all anyone ever does. So
it's good you're honest about that.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, it's quite easy to sit back and just think, oh yeah, like they know what they're talking about. Like, you don't. I'll hold my hand up and say that. That's not to say that I can't amount to anything. Like I can't figure it out. Just because it hasn't been done yet doesn't mean it like isn't achievable. So I think that's what I've had stuck in my mind for a long time is like, there's nothing that I can't figure out. Mainly that's my technical mind speaking because I kind of try to understand how stuff works, but it's trivial in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I think there's been lots of times where I've maybe done something for someone and I've said, look, do you know what? I've not done this before. Yeah. But I'm happy to give it a go.
Yeah. And what do you think? Anytime you buy like a new camera or like a drone or something, it's like you don't really know how to use it. Yeah, you'll have a look on YouTube, like, oh, how do you, set up this format with this? Like, you just figure it out, right?
Figure out. That's what I've done over the years, and you learn from that, and take that experience into new things, and you practice and practice, and you get good at that skill. But I think it's important if you're working in a professional sense with somebody. I personally don't like, I can spot BS from a mile away. In the business world, I will see people time and time again, especially in marketing and communications, lead gen, building websites. Yeah, we can do that, no problem. And I'm like, really? Yeah. I think there's power in saying, you know what, look, I haven't done this before. Yeah. Like for me, at this current time, I've not produced a broadcast commercial. That is like a goal I've got for Story Cymru. When I get people ask me, oh, can you do an ad? Well, I can do an ad. I've not done one before. Yeah. But for me, from a filmmaking point of view, it would take the same principles, same elements of filmmaking, producing a broadcast commercial, as it would be if I was producing a promotional film for a business to go on social media.
But the reality is, whoever's shooting TV commercials now, like they have to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good. Okay. Well, this has been fantastic. Maybe I'll have you on for season 2. I don't know if this is a seasonal thing.
Yeah, if this is usable, we'll cut this. We'll shoot it again next week.
No, this has been good. Just lastly, for those who don't know you, where can they find out more about Blueprint and Night Mode? Do you have a newsletter? Have you got social media pages?
Yeah, I guess the best place to find me is on Instagram. That's where I spend most of my time. I'm trying to get better at posting elsewhere, like LinkedIn and Twitter and all this X, all these things. But it's like, blueprint.wales. I post most of my stories there. Blueprint.wales is the website as well, if anyone's interested.
So check it out, blueprint.wales, social media and the website. James, thank you for joining me. And we shall see you on the next episode for our next guest. Diolch yn fawr.
Diolch.